The proximity alarms of the freighter Stellar Wanderer pierced through the steady hum of the engine room, causing Jackson Carter to look up from the plasma conduit he'd been recalibrating. His weathered hands, stained with years of grease and coolant, wiped across his brow as he made his way to the bridge. "What we got, Torres?" Jackson asked his navigator, a sharp-eyed woman with graying hair pulled back in a practical bun. "Unknown vessel, dead drift near the Kepler asteroid belt," Elena Torres replied, her fingers dancing across the sensor array. "No distress signals, no life signs we can detect. Looks alien in design." Captain Blake Morrison, a burly man with salt and pepper beard, leaned over the tactical display. "Could be a trap, or worse, a plague ship. We should report it to the authorities and move on." Jackson studied the holographic projection of the strange vessel. Its sleek, organic curves were unlike anything in human design, with what appeared to be crystalline structures integrated into the hull. "Looks like she took a beating. See those scorch marks along the port side? And that's definitely atmosphere venting from the stern. Which is exactly why we shouldn't go poking around," interjected Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov, his thick accent emphasizing his concern. "Unknown technology, unknown dangers." But Jackson was already calculating salvage possibilities and repair requirements. It was what he did, fix things that were broken. "I'm seeing standard docking ports. We could at least take a look, maybe help whoever's inside. Or get ourselves killed," Torres muttered. Captain Morrison studied his longtime mechanic. Jackson had an almost supernatural ability to understand alien technology, a gift that had saved their lives more than once during their years hauling cargo through the outer systems. 30 minutes, Carter. You go in, assess the situation, and get out. No heroics." As their ship maneuvered closer to the mysterious vessel, Jackson gathered his tools and portable life support gear. The alien ship's hull seemed to shimmer with an inner light, and he could see intricate patterns etched into its surface, definitely not random damage. This was purposeful design, art even. The docking tubes connected with a satisfying hiss, and Jackson stepped through the airlock into a corridor that seemed to pulse with bioluminescent veins running along the walls. His scanner detected breathable atmosphere, though the temperature was several degrees cooler than human standard. Whatever built this ship, they appreciated both beauty and function. He had no idea he'd just boarded the most important vessel in the Zerethian Empire. Jackson's tools hummed as he worked on the alien ship's core systems. The technology was incredibly advanced, crystalline matrices that seemed to grow rather than be manufactured, energy conduits that pulsed like arteries. Despite its foreign design, the underlying principles were familiar enough. Power generation, life support, navigation, the fundamentals were universal. He'd spent 4 hours tracing damaged circuits and replacing burned-out components with improvised alternatives from his toolkit. The ship's central computer, if it could be called that, appeared to be a living organism merged with quantum processors. As he restored power to the final system, the entire vessel shuddered to life. Bioluminescent patterns raced along the walls like neural pathways firing, and a deep harmonic tone resonated through the ship's structure. Jackson stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead, satisfied with his work. The environmental systems were online, structural integrity restored, and the navigation array was functional again. Then he heard it, a soft hiss from deeper within the ship. Following the sound, Jackson discovered a chamber he'd missed during his initial survey. The room was dominated by an elegant cryopod, its transparent surface now clearing as warm air circulated through vents. Inside, a figure began to stir. The woman who emerged was unlike anything Jackson had ever seen. Her skin was a pale purple, almost luminescent, with intricate darker patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Dark curls framed a face that was undeniably beautiful, with high cheekbones and eyes that held the depth of galaxies. She was tall and regal, moving with fluid grace despite having just awakened from what must have been extended cryosleep. Those galactic eyes fixed on Jackson, and when she spoke, her voice carried an otherworldly resonance that seemed to bypass his ears and speak directly to his mind. "You restored my vessel," she said, her words accented but clear. "I am Queen Kavira of the Zerethian Empire. You have saved my life, human." Jackson's mouth went dry. "Queen. I'm just a mechanic. Jackson Carter. Your ship was damaged, so I fixed it." Kavira stepped closer, studying him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "Just a mechanic," she repeated, almost amused. "Do you understand what you have done?" "Fixed your ship?" Jackson offered weakly. "You have bound yourself to me by the ancient laws of my people," Kavira explained, her expression growing serious. "In Zerethian culture, one who saves the life of the sovereign becomes indebted to them, but more importantly, they become indebted to you. It is called the royal bond." The implications hit Jackson like a plasma bolt. "I don't want any reward. I was just doing what anyone would." "This is not about want," Kavira interrupted, her voice carrying absolute authority. "This is about law, tradition, and debt that spans generations. You are now bound to my service, Jackson Carter." 3 days aboard Queen Kavira's restored vessel had turned Jackson's world upside down. The stellar wanderer now followed in the wake of the Zerethian royal ship, his crewmates as bewildered as he was by this turn of events. Captain Morrison had tried to negotiate Jackson's release, but Kavira had been immovable. The life debt was sacred law. Jackson found himself assigned quarters that were more luxurious than anything he'd ever experienced. The walls seemed alive, responding to his presence with soft light and comfortable temperatures. But luxury felt like a cage when he couldn't leave. "You are troubled," Kavira observed as she entered his quarters without announcement, another royal privilege that grated on his nerves. "Wouldn't you be?" Jackson turned from the viewport where he'd been watching stars streak past. "Yesterday I was fixing plasma conduits. Today I'm apparently some kind of royal servant." Kavira's expression softened slightly. "Not servant. Guardian. Companion. The bond is more complex than your human understanding allows." She moved closer, and Jackson caught her scent, something like ozone and exotic flowers. "My enemies are numerous. The faction wars that damaged my ship have not ended. Having a skilled human by my side, it provides advantages." "What kind of enemies?" Despite his frustration, Jackson found himself genuinely curious. "Prince Zephan leads a military coup against my rule. He believes strength comes only through conquest, while I seek to modernize our empire through alliance and diplomacy." Her hand absently touched a scar along her neck. "He nearly succeeded in assassinating me during the peace summit with the Andromedan coalition." Jackson noticed how her skin seemed to pulse with faint light when she was stressed. "Is that why you were in cryosleep? Hiding?" "Healing," she corrected, then surprised him by sitting on the edge of his bed with casual intimacy. Zerethian royal blood has regenerative properties, but severe injuries require extended hibernation to fully recover. The way she looked at him made something flutter in Jackson's chest. There was vulnerability beneath her regal facade, and an intelligence that seemed to peer directly into his soul. When she leaned forward, her dark curls falling around her face, he found himself leaning toward her as well. "You fear me," she whispered, her breath warm against his ear. "I fear what you represent," Jackson admitted. "I'm not cut out for politics and intrigue. I fix things. That's what I do." Kavira's hand touched his cheek, her skin surprisingly warm. "Perhaps I am something that needs fixing as well." Before Jackson could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Kavira was on her feet instantly, her demeanor shifting back to that of a commanding ruler. "Zephan has found us," she said grimly. "The real test of your bond begins now." Part 4, Passion and Peril. The ship shuddered under weapons fire as Kavira's loyal crew engaged the attacking vessels. Jackson followed the Queen to the bridge, where holographic displays showed 3 Zerethian warships in pursuit, their sleek forms bristling with energy weapons. "My Queen, we cannot outrun them," reported Commander Thane, Kavira's military advisor. They have superior firepower and fresher crews. Then we don't run, Kavira declared. Jackson, I need you to reroute power from non-essential systems to the shields and weapons. Can you do this? Give me access to your engineering controls, Jackson said, already moving toward the alien interface systems. As he worked, his fingers flying over crystalline controls that seemed to respond to his touch and intent, Jackson felt Kavira's presence beside him. Her hand rested on his shoulder, and he could feel energy flowing between them. Was this part of the royal bond she'd mentioned? Remarkable, she murmured. You interface with our technology as if you were born to it. Another impact rocked the ship, and Kavira was thrown against Jackson. For a moment, they were pressed together, her body warm and solid against his. Their eyes met, and the tension that had been building between them crystallized into something undeniable. My queen, Commander Thane interrupted urgently, the lead ship is demanding your surrender. Transfer all power to the engines, Kavira ordered, her gaze never leaving Jackson's face. We're going into the asteroid field. That's suicide. Thane protested. Not if our human mechanic is as skilled as I believe, Kavira said with a smile that was both confident and predatory. The next hour was a harrowing chase through spinning rocks and debris, with Jackson constantly adjusting shield harmonics and power distribution to keep them ahead of their pursuers. When one of the attacking ships clipped an asteroid and exploded, the remaining vessels finally retreated. Later, in the quiet aftermath, Jackson found Kavira in her private chambers. She had changed from her formal robes into something more comfortable, a flowing garment that highlighted her ethereal beauty. You saved us, she said simply. We saved us, Jackson corrected. She moved toward him with that fluid grace, her pale purple skin seeming to glow in the soft light. The royal bond, it is more than duty, Jackson. Can you feel it? He could. There was something electric between them, a connection that went beyond mere attraction. When she reached up to touch his face, her fingers traced the line of his jaw with infinite tenderness. I've never felt anything like this, he admitted. Nor have I, Kavira whispered, and then her lips were on his. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, but quickly deepened with mutual hunger. Jackson's hands found her waist, pulling her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit against him. Her skin was warm and soft, and when she made a soft sound of pleasure, he felt something fundamental shift inside him. Stay with me tonight, she breathed against his lips. In answer, Jackson lifted her in his arms, carrying her toward the sleeping alcove. As they moved together in the gentle light of her chambers, two worlds, two species, two hearts found a rhythm that transcended all boundaries. Dawn came softly aboard the Zerethian vessel, light filtering through crystalline walls and patterns that shifted like living art. Jackson woke with Kavira in his arms, her dark curls splayed across his chest, her breathing deep and peaceful. In sleep, the weight of rulership fell away, leaving only the woman who had stolen his heart. Good morning, she murmured without opening her eyes, her hand tracing lazy patterns on his skin. Is it morning in space? Jackson asked, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. It is when I say it is, Kavira replied with mock imperiousness, then laughed at his expression. One of the few benefits of absolute monarchy. They had talked long into the night between passionate interludes, about their worlds, their fears, their impossible situation. Jackson had learned that beneath her royal bearing, Kavira was lonely, burdened by expectations and surrounded by those who saw her as a symbol rather than a person. She had discovered that his quiet strength and genuine nature were exactly what her turbulent world needed. What happens now? Jackson asked, voicing the question that had been haunting them both. Kavira sat up, pulling the silken covering around herself. Now we face reality. My council will not approve of our relationship. A human consort has no precedent in Zerethian law. And my crew thinks I've lost my mind, Jackson added. Torres suggested you might have some kind of mind control technology. Do you feel controlled? Kavira asked, her eyes searching his face. No, Jackson said honestly. I feel awake. Like I've been sleepwalking through life until now. She leaned down to kiss him, soft and sweet. The royal bond is real, but what grows between us is something more. Something worth fighting for. A chime announced an incoming communication. Kavira activated the display, revealing Commander Thane's concerned face. My queen, we're receiving a transmission from the Zerethian High Council. They demand your immediate return to address the crisis with Prince Zephan. Tell them I'll return when I'm ready, Kavira replied coolly. With respect, my queen, they specifically mentioned the human situation. Jackson felt his stomach drop, but Kavira's expression hardened with determination. Then they'll have the opportunity to meet him properly. Jackson Carter is under my protection, and any who challenge me directly. After the communication ended, Kavira turned back to Jackson. Will you come with me? To my world, to face whatever consequences await. Jackson thought of his simple life aboard the freighter, the predictable routine of repairs and maintenance. Then he looked at the extraordinary woman before him, alien queen and vulnerable lover, who had turned his universe upside down. I told you I fix things, he said, pulling her close. Maybe it's time I helped fix an empire. As their ship changed course toward the Zerethian homeworld, Jackson held Kavira against him and watched the stars whirl past. Whatever challenges lay ahead, political intrigue, cultural barriers, or enemies who would see them destroyed, they would face them together. The mechanic and the queen, bound by law, united by love, ready to forge a new destiny among the stars.